They pleaded for help, but the Deathworlders of Earth came instead. Still, it crossed dozens of star systems until it reached the heart of the Galactic Council. Many signals came every cycle, but this one felt different. It did not ask for trade or alliance. It begged. The Veleri Union had always been known as calm and gentle. Their worlds were rich, their cities bright, and their people avoided war whenever possible. Now their words shook as they spoke of burning skies and silent cities. An empire known for conquest had found them. The empire demanded surrender, resources, and obedience. When the Veleri refused, the attacks began. Council chambers filled with uneasy silence as the message ended. Leaders of powerful species exchanged looks but said nothing. Some had fought the empire before and lost fleets. Others had watched from a distance and learned to stay quiet. Helping the Veleri would mean drawing attention, and attention often meant destruction. After a long pause, excuses followed. One leader spoke of stretched defenses. Another mentioned unstable borders. A third claimed the situation was tragic but unavoidable. Each refusal was calm, polite, and final. Near the edge of the chamber sat Alina Park, a young diplomatic aide. She had no vote and little authority, but she had studied the reports more closely than most. She had seen how many times the Empire relied on fear and overwhelming force. She also noticed something else. The Empire avoided certain regions of space, regions near a small yellow star. Alina stood slowly, her hands tight at her sides. Several council members turned, surprised. Aides rarely spoke. She said there was one world not yet contacted, a world still outside full galactic politics, a world listed as extreme risk. Earth. Soft laughter spread through the chamber. Earth was known only through surveys and distant probes. High gravity, violent weather, aggressive wildlife, constant internal conflict. The council had labeled it a death world and moved on. One elder asked why a peaceful people should ask help from such a place. Alina answered simply, because Deathworlders survive. The laughter faded. The idea sounded foolish, but the council had run out of better ones. After more debate, permission was granted. One message only, no expectations. The signal was sent toward Earth. On Earth, the message reached a quiet command station buried under stone and steel. Humans had been watching the stars for years, waiting for proof they were not alone. They did not expect the first voice to be afraid. Alex Carter stood over the projection table as the translation finished. He was not young, but not old either, with tired eyes and a steady voice. Around him were officers and analysts, some excited, some tense. They listened as the Veleri spoke of invasion and loss. No one laughed. Alex asked for silence when the room filled with questions. He replayed the message once more. He noticed how the Veleri speaker tried to sound strong but failed. He recognized the tone. Earth had heard it many times in its own history. Lisa Morgan, head of planetary defense planning, spoke next. She pointed out the risks. The Empire was advanced, faster ships, energy weapons, numbers that dwarfed anything Earth could send. Helping would reveal humanity to the galaxy as a military power. Alex nodded. He said that was already happening. The galaxy had spoken first. Debate lasted hours. Some leaders argued Earth should stay hidden. Others said this was a chance to choose what kind of species humanity would be. At last, a simple question was asked. If Earth were burning, would they want someone to answer? The decision was made. The reply sent back to the Veleri was short. Earth had received the call. Earth was coming. Preparations began immediately. Shipyards that once built exploration craft shifted to war output. Old designs were pulled from storage and updated. Nothing elegant, nothing beautiful, thick hulls, redundant systems, weapons meant to keep firing even when damaged, training centers filled with soldiers, not conscripts but volunteers. People like Jack Turner, who had grown up in storm zones, like Maria Lewis, who had served disaster relief in broken cities, like Ethan Brooks, who had trained in high-gravity environments where mistakes meant death. They were told little about the Veleri at first. Only that someone needed help and no one else would go. During briefings, alien data surprised many recruits. Worlds with low gravity, fragile bodies, limited tolerance for pain. Many humans exchanged looks and said nothing. They did not feel proud, they felt worried. Ships launched in stages, forming a fleet that looked rough and uneven. Different classes, different ages, all carrying the same emblem, a simple blue circle over black, Earth. As the fleet moved through unfamiliar space, first contact protocols were reviewed. Humans expected fear when they arrived. They were not wrong. Veleri stations detected the ships long before visual contact. Panic spread when scans showed dense armor and massive kinetic launchers. Some thought the Empire had returned in a new form. Others feared Earth had come to conquer instead of help. When communication opened, the human voice was calm. Alex spoke directly. He said Earth was there to assist. No demands, no claims, just support. The Veleri Council responded with caution and disbelief. Their leaders had imagined saviors as shining and advanced. Humans looked heavy and scarred, like tools made for breaking. Still, desperation overruled doubt. Landing permission was granted. As human ships entered orbit around the first Veleri world, the scale of destruction became clear. Cities lay dark. Orbital platforms drifted broken. Fires burned where forests once stood. Silence filled the gaps where life had been. Inside one transport, Jack watched the surface through a narrow window. He said nothing, but his hands tightened. Maria noticed and placed a hand on his shoulder. Neither spoke. On the ground, Veleri officials greeted the humans with stiff movements and wide eyes. Their bodies were tall and light, their skin pale and smooth. Gravity pressed on them even here, yet the humans moved with ease, boots heavy against the soil. A Veleri elder named Soren addressed the newcomers. His voice shook as he thanked them for answering. He admitted they did not know what Earth could do, only that Earth had come. Alex replied that humans would assess, plan, and fight if needed. He made no promises of victory, only effort. That honesty surprised the Veleri more than any weapon. As night fell, human engineers began repairs. Medics treated the wounded without question. Soldiers took positions around refugee zones. No banners were raised, no speeches given. Far away, deep in Imperial space, enemy sensors noticed something new, unfamiliar ships. Unusual formations, no retreat pattern. Data was sent up the chain, marked low concern. They had no idea what kind of world Earth was. And on the ruined Veleri world, as stars turned slowly overhead, a simple truth settled in. The galaxy had pleaded for help. But instead of saviors, the Deathworlders of Earth had arrived. The humans moved quickly, but not recklessly. After landing, they set up perimeter defenses first. Alex Carter walked the ruined streets with a small group of officers, observing the damage. Buildings were twisted metal and broken glass. Some places smelled of fire. The Veleri had done what they could, but their defenses had been meant for warning, not battle. Jack Turner and his squad took positions near the outer districts. Their training on Earth's harshest landscapes showed. They moved with quiet precision, scanning shadows and high ground alike. Maria Lewis carried supplies but stayed alert, her eyes scanning for danger. Ethan Brooks examined structural damage, noting where enemy forces might strike again. In one command tent, Veleri leaders gathered around Alex and Lisa Morgan. Soren, the elder, spoke in low tones. "We are grateful, but our enemies are not like your storms or predators. They are organized, ruthless, and many. Why do you come?" Alex looked at the Veleri, not with pride, but with calm. "We come because someone needs help. Survival is what we do. We do not claim to be the strongest, only the determined." The Veleri stared, unsure what to say. Determination was not a word often used in their kind. They spoke of strategy and planning, never of stubbornness. As the humans set up their base, they shared simple routines. Soldiers trained others to use basic Earth tactics, cover, small unit maneuvers, and ambush methods. The Veleri watched with fascination. They had elegant technology, but humans had something they could not replicate, instinct shaped by danger. Lisa Morgan led a small group on a reconnaissance mission. They climbed high towers to scan the horizon. Smoke from ruined cities drifted in the air. Beyond the horizon, distant fleets moved slowly, scouting for signs of resistance. Humans recorded every detail. They did not panic. They prepared. Alex spoke with Veleri engineers, learning what they could about their weapons and shields. He asked simple questions. How fast? How strong? What fails first? The answers were technical, but his mind translated them into practical terms. Humans would find the weak spots, even in superior tech. In the evenings, soldiers gathered quietly. Some spoke of their homes, storms survived, or battles fought on Earth. Jack told stories of frozen mountains and desert raids. Maria spoke of city floods and collapsed bridges. Ethan shared tales of earthquake zones where every step was life or death. The Veleri listened, silent, unable to understand how anyone could survive so many dangers and still stand. The humans did not boast. They did not mock. They only shared reality. And that reality unsettled the Veleri. On the outskirts of the city, small patrols spotted enemy scouts. The humans observed without firing first. They counted movements, studied formations, noted patterns. The Veleri flinched when they saw humans walking into sight of heavily armed scouts without shields. The scouts never fired. The humans moved like predators waiting for mistakes. The first engagement came at dusk. A small band of Empire forces advanced along a ruined boulevard, expecting no resistance. Jack Turner led a squad from a side street. They struck quickly, using heavy kinetic launchers to disable a scout vehicle, then moved to suppress the ground troops. The Veleri watched, mouths open, as humans handled wounded, moved fallen civilians, and pressed forward calmly. The strike was over in minutes. Enemy forces scattered. Alex and Lisa coordinated from a command tent, monitoring multiple areas. Their voice was calm but firm. Hold positions, but prepare to move if they regroup. In the following days, humans conducted multiple patrols. They never overextended, but they tested every weak point. Veleri engineers began adapting some designs based on human advice, learning that practicality often outweighed elegance. Shelters were reinforced, evacuation routes improved, and supply lines made safer. Humans taught the Veleri simple tactics: fallback positions, communication signals, and traps using local terrain. During one mission, Maria Lewis led a small team to rescue Veleri civilians trapped in a collapsed building. The structure was unstable, but her team moved steadily. Using improvised supports and careful coordination, they lifted debris and carried the injured to safety. The Veleri watched in awe. No shields, no advanced machinery, only skill and determination. Ethan Brooks organized training for Veleri fighters. He demonstrated climbing, low-gravity maneuvers, and rapid weapon reloads. The Veleri were quick learners, but not like humans. Humans had muscle memory born from struggle and danger, instincts honed by years of harsh survival. One Veleri soldier whispered to a friend, "They fight differently. They do not fear. Even when hurt, they do not stop." Jack Turner scouted the perimeter at night. He noticed tracks, unusual patterns, and signs of traps. Enemy scouts often underestimated humans. When they struck again, they expected easy victory. Jack prepared ambushes. He set decoys, covered escape routes, and coordinated with distant squads. When the attack came, humans reacted like a single organism. Bullets flew, vehicles were disabled, and enemy soldiers were trapped before they could organize. Veleri children hidden in safe zones watched the humans. They spoke of their bravery with wide eyes. "Why do they not fear?" one asked Soren. He did not answer. Even he could not understand. Humans did not think like Veleri. They faced danger because they must, not because they calculated it. In one council meeting, Alex and Lisa reported all observations. The humans had not lost a single soldier. Minor injuries were treated and morale remained high. Soren asked, "How can they survive what our soldiers could not?" Alex replied, "They survive because they were born on a hard world. They are used to risk. They are used to death, but more than that, they value life. They do not run from what is dangerous, they move through it." The Veleri nodded slowly. Fear mingled with admiration. These humans were not just soldiers. They were a force born from struggle, sharpened by constant challenge. No elegant ship or weapon could replace that. As the days passed, humans repaired critical infrastructure. They cleared roads, stabilized buildings, and restored water lines. In every task, soldiers worked alongside civilians. Their presence was practical, not ceremonial. Every human action was measured, efficient, and deadly effective if challenged. The Empire noticed. Scouts reported resistance, but they could not explain it. They assumed humans were like other species, flawed and untrained. When they reported losses, commanders were annoyed but not concerned. They assumed humans would break quickly. They were wrong. Alex led a final observation before the humans would engage the main Imperial force. From a high ridge, he looked at the city, the horizon, and the distant enemy formations. Lisa joined him. "They think we are weak," she said. Alex nodded. "Let them. Underestimating humans is the first mistake any enemy makes." Below, Jack, Maria, and Ethan prepared their squads. They did not speak of fear or victory. They spoke of positions, signals, and timing. They were ready. That night, under pale moons and burning stars, humans moved like shadows. The Veleri watched silently. No one expected this. No one could imagine the force that had arrived. The Deathworlders of Earth were present, calm, prepared, and determined. And as the first Imperial scouts advanced unknowingly toward the humans' trap, the stage was set. Battle, chaos, and survival would soon follow. Yet even in that moment, the humans did not celebrate. They only waited. They had come to help. They would do so whatever the cost. And the Velari began to understand a truth that would echo across their world. Humans fought differently. Humans survived differently. Humans were not just here to protect. They were here to endure, adapt, and overcome. The first night of engagement ended quietly. No one celebrated victory. Humans rested, soldiers checking weapons and supplies, civilians safe. The Empire did not yet know the storm that had arrived in Velari space. As dawn approached, Velari leaders whispered among themselves. They had called for aid. Many had expected fleets of shining ships and elegant weapons. Instead, the Deathworlders of Earth had arrived, bringing something far more dangerous: instinct, courage, and unbreakable will. The galaxy had not seen this before. The humans had not yet struck a blow, but their presence alone was already changing everything. And somewhere deep in the shadows of enemy space, commanders began to take notice. A new factor had entered the war. A factor that would not be ignored. Humans from Earth had arrived, and the Velari could only watch, amazed and fearful, as the Deathworlders prepared to show them exactly what that meant. The first real battle began at sunrise. Scouts reported the Empire's forces approaching in coordinated waves. They expected easy resistance. Humans had set traps, ambushes, and fallback positions, but the enemy did not know that. Jack Turner's squad moved silently through the ruined streets, blending with shadows. Their weapons were simple by alien standards: kinetic rifles, heavy armor, and explosives. Nothing elegant, nothing flashy, but built to keep working when damaged and deadly in skilled hands. Ethan Brooks and Maria Lewis led small teams to secure choke points. They positioned barricades, covered exits, and prepared improvised explosives. Civilians and Velari engineers were evacuated to safe zones under their supervision. The humans moved calmly, each action precise and deliberate. Alex Carter and Lisa Morgan coordinated from a mobile command tent on a ridge overlooking the battlefield. Scanners reported enemy formations, movements, and strengths. Alex spoke quietly but clearly. "Wait for the signal. Patience wins more battles than speed." The Empire advanced, expecting an easy sweep. Their ships hovered above the city, scanning for resistance. Ground forces moved confidently, stepping over debris as if the humans were already gone. They did not notice subtle signs of ambush: broken glass patterns, slight dust disturbances, footprints disappearing into rubble. When the first wave reached the main boulevard, humans struck. Kinetic rounds disabled their lead vehicles. Jack's squad moved from cover to cover, firing in coordinated bursts. The enemy faltered, surprised. Small groups of soldiers were trapped in alleys where Maria and Ethan's teams waited. Explosives went off not to kill all, but to disrupt and slow. Humans never panicked. They advanced steadily. Velari watchers were silent, barely breathing. They had never seen soldiers fight like this. Humans did not fear injury. They did not retreat under fire. They adapted to every situation in seconds, covering each other, reacting to enemy movement before it happened. Alex noticed the enemy commander attempting a flanking maneuver. He called for Jack's squad to intercept. The humans did not run or hide. They repositioned calmly, using rubble and ruined buildings as cover. Within minutes, they had forced the enemy to retreat. Small groups were captured, others surrendered. The Empire was shocked. They had underestimated humans. Their advanced weapons were powerful, but humans used the terrain, traps, and instinct to neutralize advantage. Every engagement was measured, precise, and deadly effective. During a lull, Alex walked the streets. He saw the wounded, both Velari and humans. Medics treated injuries quickly and calmly. Even the civilians helped, passing water, tending minor cuts, and watching quietly. The humans treated the Velari as equals, not inferiors. The Velari began to understand why they had been sent. Humans did not fight for glory, but for survival and protection. In one building, Ethan Brooks observed a small squad of Imperial soldiers trying to regroup. He instructed them to cut off escape routes using simple barricades and controlled detonations. When the enemy tried to flee, they found themselves trapped. Surrender was immediate. The humans showed mercy, disarming the enemy and moving them to a holding zone. The Velari were stunned. Humans were lethal but fair. Jack Turner led another group into the upper city. Enemy forces attempted to use flying drones to attack. Humans had prepared for this. Using high-caliber rifles and timing, they disabled the drones before they could strike. The enemy faltered again. Maria Lewis moved to assist civilians caught in crossfire. She lifted debris, carried injured children, and coordinated with volunteers. She did not hesitate even when gunfire passed nearby. The Velari whispered to each other. They had never seen such fearlessness. Humans did not act recklessly. They acted as if danger was normal, expected, and managed. By midday, the humans had pushed the enemy back to a ruined industrial sector. Alex called a brief council. Soldiers, medics, and engineers gathered. He reminded them to remain cautious. "They will try to regroup," he said. "We do not chase recklessly, we hold ground and protect the weak." The Empire sent reinforcements. Larger ships hovered above and ground forces approached from multiple angles. Humans did not panic. Jack's squad repositioned. Ethan's group prepared traps along the expected paths. Maria coordinated evacuation routes. Velari soldiers, inspired by humans, began to move with new confidence. The second wave hit harder. Energy weapons tore through ruins. Explosions shook the ground, but humans adapted. They moved through debris, ducked behind walls, and fired from unexpected angles. They used ambush points that the enemy had assumed were clear. Slowly, Imperials were funneled into kill zones. In one narrow street, Alex observed enemy armored vehicles advancing. He called in a coordinated strike. Humans fired in bursts aimed at weak points identified during reconnaissance. One vehicle toppled, blocking the street. Enemy infantry became trapped. Human squads advanced carefully, taking prisoners and securing civilians. Velari leaders watched, all mixed with fear. Humans fought in ways their sensors and simulations could not predict. They improvised, adapted, and persisted. Every setback only made them more efficient. At night, humans held the city. Fires burned in the distance, smoke rising above ruins. They treated their wounded, repaired weapons, and repositioned squads. Jack, Maria, and Ethan checked traps and patrols. They did not celebrate. Victory was temporary. The enemy could return. Alex and Lisa reviewed the battlefield. Scanners showed scattered enemy units. Losses were significant. Humans had few casualties. They discussed strategy calmly, planning for the next day. Velari civilians emerged cautiously. Some had hidden in shelters. They looked at humans with new eyes. These were not saviors of myth. They were beings shaped by harsh worlds, capable of enduring anything. The Empire did not yet understand the humans. Reports sent to commanders labeled them as reckless, unpredictable, and highly dangerous. They assumed humans would tire, that their resources would fail. They were wrong. Humans were not driven by technology alone. They were driven by survival, instinct, and determination. In a quiet moment, Maria spoke to a group of Velari children. "Do not be afraid," she said. "We are here to help. You will see, everything will be safe." The children nodded, wide-eyed, holding small hands of adults beside them. Jack surveyed the perimeter. Tracks of enemy scouts showed where they had been misled. Humans had left false trails and traps. Each movement was deliberate. Enemy forces had underestimated them, and it would cost dearly. Ethan worked with engineers to reinforce key structures. He explained in simple terms how to use debris, gravity, and basic materials to stop or slow the enemy. Velari soldiers learned quickly, though clumsily. Humans did not complain. They guided, corrected, and encouraged. As dawn approached the next day, Alex gave orders. Humans would hold, but they would also prepare for counterattack. Enemy scouts were regrouping, reinforcements arriving. Humans did not fear. They adjusted, trained, and positioned themselves. The Empire attacked again. This time they sent heavier vehicles and more troops. Humans did not hesitate. They moved strategically, forcing the enemy into confined zones, disabling vehicles, and capturing soldiers. Explosions, gunfire, and chaos filled the streets, but humans remained focused. Velari leaders realized something important. Humans did not fight for pride or recognition. They fought for what must survive. They did not tire from fear. They did not stop for pain. Their discipline and instinct made them nearly unstoppable. At the end of the day, humans had won again. Enemy forces retreated to regroup elsewhere. Losses were heavier than before. The Empire had underestimated Earth's Deathworlders. Alex and Lisa met briefly with Velari leaders. They were calm, not arrogant. "We will not abandon you," Alex said simply. "We fight because we must. We do not fight because it is easy." The Velari nodded, finally understanding the kind of help they had received. Humans were not elegant. Humans were not flashy. They were effective. In the shadows, enemy commanders began to whisper. A new threat had arrived, unpredictable, dangerous, and relentless. They could not yet define it. They only knew it had survived attacks that would have destroyed others. And on the ruined streets of the Velari world, humans rested for the first time in days. Their weapons were cleaned, traps reset, medics attended the wounded. Civilians were safe. They did not celebrate, they did not speak loudly. They only prepared for what was next. The galaxy had asked for help, the Deathworlders of Earth had answered. And the Empire would soon learn why the humans were feared, even without shining ships or advanced shields. Instinct, courage, and unbreakable will were weapons no technology could replace. The battle was not over. But humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The days after the first battles were tense. Humans patrolled every street, repaired damage, and trained the Velari in simple defensive strategies. The Empire did not give them time to rest. Reports indicated a larger fleet and ground forces approaching. Humans were aware but calm. They had seen worse on their homeworld. Alex Carter walked through the streets with Lisa Morgan, observing the city. They noted barricades, supply routes, and weak points. Civilians watched silently, slowly gaining confidence. Velari engineers worked alongside human soldiers, moving quickly under instruction. Alex nodded quietly. Efficiency mattered more than pride. Jack Turner led a reconnaissance mission into a ruined industrial district. The enemy had left signs of traps and ambush points. Jack studied them carefully, noting weaknesses. He laid counter-traps and set patrols. His team moved with quiet precision, covering each other. No mistakes were made. Maria Lewis organized medics and volunteers to treat civilians and soldiers. She moved from group to group, calm and steady. Injured Velari were treated with simple methods humans had learned on Earth: pressure points, quick bandaging, and care for shock. Even alien bodies could be stabilized with the right attention. Ethan Brooks worked with Velari fighters to teach movement under fire. He used simple drills: cover, retreat, advance, communication. Velari were fast learners, but humans showed patience and care, guiding them step by step. In a matter of days, Velari units could move with a precision they had never known. The Empire's response came in waves. Ships hovered above, dropping ground units and scanning for resistance. Humans did not panic. They adapted. Traps slowed vehicles, barricades funneled soldiers, and squads moved in coordinated bursts. Enemy forces were frustrated. They had expected chaos and disorganization, but humans were methodical and relentless. Alex coordinated defense from a central ridge. "Hold positions, but do not wait passively," he said. "Move where needed, strike when possible, and protect civilians. Do not fight for glory. Fight for survival." On the ground, Jack led a squad to intercept a small enemy group trying to flank human positions. The squad moved through narrow alleys and ruined buildings, taking cover and advancing quietly. When the enemy appeared, humans fired precisely, disabling vehicles and capturing soldiers. Velari observers whispered in disbelief. They had never seen a fight handled with such calm efficiency. Maria led a group rescuing civilians trapped near a collapsed building. Debris was unstable, but her team moved with steady hands, carefully lifting pieces and ensuring safety. Civilians watched, amazed. They had expected humans to fight like machines, but they were careful, deliberate, and humane. Ethan trained Velari soldiers in small squads. They learned to anticipate enemy movements, communicate silently, and use terrain to their advantage. Humans corrected mistakes patiently, never scolding, only guiding. Velari began to understand that survival depended on instinct as much as weapons. The Empire launched a major strike the next day. Larger vehicles, more troops, and energy weapons swept across the streets. Humans did not hesitate. Jack and Maria coordinated squads, creating kill zones and evacuation paths. Civilians were moved to safety. Humans fought strategically, forcing enemy soldiers into traps and capturing many. Alex observed from above, coordinating signals and movements. He saw where enemy reinforcements were weak and where the humans could strike with minimal risk. He gave quiet orders. Precision, not speed, was key. The battle was brutal. Explosions tore through streets. Smoke and dust filled the air. Humans adapted quickly. They used cover, moved in small units, and exploited enemy mistakes. The Empire had never faced a species like this. Soldiers did not retreat. Wounded were treated on the field. Traps slowed the advance of vehicles. Velari leaders watched silently. They had never seen soldiers act with such discipline and determination. Humans did not fight for glory, only to protect and survive. Soren the Elder whispered, "They do not fear death as we understand it. They move through it." During the battle, Jack led a squad to block a key avenue where enemy reinforcements were expected. They set explosives in narrow points and used rubble as cover. When the enemy approached, humans struck from multiple sides. Soldiers fell, vehicles were disabled, and enemy troops surrendered in large numbers. Maria and Ethan coordinated medical teams. Injured humans and Velari were treated side by side. Civilians were evacuated and supply lines secured. Humans maintained calm, moving efficiently despite chaos around them. The Empire began to understand that these humans were not ordinary soldiers. Their tactics were unpredictable. They adapted quickly. They survived situations that would have destroyed other forces. Commanders whispered warnings but had no solution. Alex called a brief meeting with Velari leaders. He explained that the humans would continue to hold positions, train Velari, and adapt to enemy movements. He emphasized that the goal was not to conquer, but to survive and protect. Over the next days, humans set traps along predicted enemy paths, reinforced weak points, and trained Velari units to move effectively. They did not show fear or fatigue. Every injury was treated, every threat assessed, every movement calculated. Enemy forces attempted to regroup, but humans anticipated their plans. Jack's squads ambushed supply lines, Maria coordinated evacuations, and Ethan's teams reinforced positions quickly. Humans moved like a living system, each part supporting the other. Velari civilians began to help. They carried supplies, guided humans through ruins, and aided medics. Humans treated them as capable, not weak. This partnership improved morale and efficiency. Velari soldiers began to follow human tactics willingly. The Empire sent larger attacks, but humans adapted. They funneled enemy troops into narrow zones, disabled vehicles, and captured soldiers without unnecessary loss. The battlefields became unpredictable, controlled by humans' instincts and strategic thinking. Alex observed quietly from a ridge. His eyes scanned the battlefield. He saw human squads move calmly through chaos, adjusting to each attack. He saw Velari learning and improving. He saw enemy forces faltering and retreating. The humans' presence had changed the course of the conflict. That night, humans rested briefly. They checked weapons, repaired armor, and ensured civilians were safe. Jack, Maria, and Ethan discussed positions, traps, and patrols. No one celebrated. The battle was not yet over. Velari leaders gathered, discussing the humans' impact. They realized that the galaxy had underestimated Earth. Humans were not flashy, not elegant, but relentless and effective. Their instincts, courage, and endurance made them a force unlike any other. Alex addressed his team quietly. "We fight to protect, not to dominate. Stay sharp, move wisely, and trust each other. This is only the beginning." As humans prepared for the next engagement, the Empire realized their mistake. The Deathworlders of Earth could not be easily defeated. They adapted, they survived, and they moved through danger as if it were part of their nature. The Velari began to understand a new truth. Help had arrived, but it was different than imagined. Humans did not fight for honor or medals. They fought for survival and the survival of others. That made them unpredictable, unstoppable, and terrifying to enemies. In the ruins, under burning skies and rising smoke, humans rested briefly. Weapons were checked, positions reinforced, and plans reviewed. The galaxy had asked for help, and the Deathworlders of Earth had answered. The Empire's forces would learn soon. Humans did not give up. Humans did not flee. Humans endured, adapted, and struck with precision. The battle was far from over, but the humans had already changed the game. Velari civilians whispered among themselves. Soldiers watched silently. Humans moved calmly, prepared for the challenges ahead. They were survivors, protectors, and now, the galaxy had seen the true meaning of a Deathworlder. The next day, the humans would strike again, and no enemy would be ready for the force that moved with instinct, courage, and unbreakable will. The galaxy would never forget that the Deathworlders of Earth had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. The morning air was thick with smoke and dust. The city, though scarred, was still alive. Humans moved quietly through the streets, checking positions, repairing barricades, and helping civilians. Alex Carter walked alongside Lisa Morgan, their eyes scanning the horizon. The Empire's forces had retreated, but humans knew it was only temporary. Jack Turner led a squad through a ruined market district. He noted footprints, broken vehicles, and signs of enemy activity. Nothing was left to chance. Every alley, every rooftop, every shadow was observed and recorded. Humans had learned to anticipate, to predict, and to control what others assumed was chaos. Maria Lewis coordinated medical teams. Injured humans, Velari, and even captured enemy soldiers received attention. She moved calmly from group to group, stabilizing the wounded, giving instructions, and offering reassurance. Velari civilians watched in awe. Humans were lethal, yet gentle. They fought hard, yet cared for the weak. Ethan Brooks trained Velari soldiers in new tactics. He showed them how to move quietly, communicate silently, and use terrain to their advantage. Humans corrected mistakes patiently, encouraging each soldier to trust instinct over hesitation. Velari units began to move like humans, confident and precise. Alex called a meeting with his key officers. "The Empire is regrouping," he said. "We do not underestimate them. We hold our positions, protect civilians, and strike where they are weak. We do not fight for glory. We fight to survive and to help those who cannot defend themselves." The Velari Council joined the meeting. Their leaders listened carefully, realizing that humans had transformed their understanding of war. Soren, the elder, spoke quietly. "We expected shining fleets and advanced weapons. Instead, we see skill, patience, and willpower. Humans are unlike any ally we have ever had." Preparations began for the next wave of the Empire's attack. Humans reinforced barricades, repaired vehicles, and set traps along predicted enemy routes. Jack's squads laid explosives in narrow passages. Maria's medics ensured first aid stations were stocked. Ethan coordinated communication lines and fallback routes. The Empire struck mid-afternoon. Larger ships hovered above, dropping troops and vehicles. Energy weapons tore through the streets, but humans moved calmly. They used cover, funneled enemy troops into kill zones, and disabled vehicles with precision. Enemy soldiers were trapped, captured, or forced to retreat. Alex monitored the battlefield from a high ridge. He saw humans move through chaos with efficiency and purpose. Jack's squad disabled a key vehicle, blocking reinforcements. Maria's team evacuated civilians, while Ethan's units reinforced strategic positions. The enemy could not adapt fast enough. Velari soldiers began to fight alongside humans. They had learned quickly, following tactics and commands with confidence. Humans did not lead arrogantly. They guided, corrected, and protected. Velari units moved faster, coordinated better, and survived situations they would have panicked in before. By evening, the battlefield was quiet. Enemy forces had been pushed back again. Humans had few casualties, treated quickly and efficiently. Velari civilians emerged from shelters, their eyes wide with gratitude and awe. Humans had not only defended them, but also inspired them. Alex and Lisa reviewed the city. They noted weak points, adjusted patrols, and prepared for the inevitable next wave. They spoke quietly to their officers. "We survive because we adapt. We protect because we must. We win because we endure." That night, humans rested briefly. Soldiers cleaned weapons, medics checked supplies, and engineers repaired barricades. Jack, Maria, and Ethan spoke quietly, planning for the following day. There was no celebration. They did not need it. Survival was its own reward. The Empire's commanders, far away, grew increasingly frustrated. Humans did not behave as expected. They did not panic. They did not flee. They fought methodically, captured prisoners, and protected civilians. Every engagement resulted in more losses for the enemy than anticipated. Velari leaders realized the full extent of humanity's impact. Humans were not elegant, not advanced in technology compared to others, but they were relentless. Instinct, courage, and determination made them a force unlike any other. They fought not for power, but for survival and protection. As days passed, humans trained Velari soldiers further. They demonstrated tactics for ambush, defense, and movement in urban terrain. Humans showed how to remain calm under fire, treat the wounded quickly, and use terrain to advantage. Velari soldiers absorbed every lesson, gaining confidence and skill. Jack led another patrol along the city perimeter. He observed enemy movements, placed new traps, and ensured fallback routes were ready. His squad moved quietly, efficiently, and without hesitation. They were ready for any surprise attack. Maria coordinated medical teams again. Injured civilians, Velari, and humans were treated quickly and effectively. She moved calmly through chaos, ensuring everyone received attention. Velari watched, learning methods they had never known. Humans combined skill and care in ways that seemed impossible. Ethan continued training exercises with Velari units. Soldiers learned to anticipate enemy movements, communicate silently, and fight as coordinated squads. Humans corrected mistakes without harshness, teaching through example. Velari units now moved confidently, able to survive and act independently. Alex and Lisa monitored the city from the ridge. Scanners reported distant enemy movements. Humans would hold, adapt, and strike where necessary. They did not show fear. They did not falter. Humans from Earth had arrived, and they would endure. The next wave of attacks came at dawn. Larger forces approached, expecting easy victory. Humans reacted strategically. Jack's squads intercepted advance units, disabling vehicles and capturing soldiers. Maria's teams evacuated civilians, while Ethan's units reinforced barricades and communication lines. Humans controlled the battlefield. Velari soldiers moved confidently alongside humans. They followed tactics learned over days of training. Humans corrected errors calmly and soldiers improved. The Empire's forces faltered. They could not predict human strategy. Humans adapted continuously. Alex coordinated all movements. He identified weak points in enemy formations and directed squads accordingly. Humans struck where the enemy was vulnerable, avoided traps, and maintained control of the battlefield. Every move was deliberate, every action calculated. By nightfall, the city was secured. Enemy forces retreated, suffering heavy losses. Humans had few casualties. The city, though scarred, was defended. Civilians were safe. Velari soldiers were more skilled. Humans had proven themselves. Alex called a meeting with Velari leaders. "We will not abandon you," he said. "We fight because it is necessary. We fight to protect, to survive, and to help. Victory comes not from power alone, but from determination and care." Soren the Elder nodded slowly. "You have done more than defend us," he said. "You have changed how we understand courage, skill, and survival. We owe you more than words can say." Humans continued their patrols, repairs, and training. They did not celebrate. They only ensured readiness, safety, and efficiency. Jack, Maria, and Ethan coordinated squads, monitored perimeters, and reinforced positions. They were prepared for any attack. Far across the galaxy, the Empire commanders recognized a new reality. Humans were not to be underestimated. They fought differently, survived differently, and endured what others could not. Instinct, courage, and unbreakable will made them formidable. The Velari began rebuilding under human guidance. Engineers applied techniques learned from humans. Soldiers trained in human methods. Civilians adapted to new safety measures. Hope returned slowly. Humans had not only protected, but also taught. Alex and Lisa walked through the city, observing repairs, training, and patrols. They noted improvements, adjusted strategies, and reinforced weak points. Humans worked quietly, efficiently, and without pride. Survival was their focus. In the following days, humans helped Velari rebuild supply lines, repair buildings, and establish security. They continued training soldiers in tactics, survival, and battlefield adaptation. Humans moved calmly through the ruins, leading by example. The Empire's forces regrouped for another attack, but humans were ready. They anticipated movements, strengthened defenses, and reinforced communication lines. Jack, Maria, and Ethan coordinated squads with precision. Humans controlled the battlefield before the enemy arrived. When the attack came, humans executed strategy flawlessly. They used traps, ambushes, and coordinated squads to disable vehicles, capture soldiers, and protect civilians. Velari soldiers moved confidently alongside them. Humans adapted to every situation. Enemy forces were overwhelmed. Alex observed calmly from his command point. He directed movements, identified threats, and ensured humans maintained control. Victory was not flashy or loud. It was quiet, deliberate, and effective. By nightfall, the Empire retreated. Humans had held the city, defended the Velari, and minimized casualties. Civilians were safe. Velari soldiers were skilled and confident. Humans had fulfilled their promise. Alex met with Velari leaders. "We came to help," he said. "We fought to protect, not to conquer. Survival, care, and determination are more important than glory. We endure and we help others endure." Sauron the Elder bowed slightly. "You have changed the course of our history," he said. "Your presence, your courage, and your skill will be remembered always." Humans rested briefly. They cleaned weapons, checked positions, and prepared for any remaining threats. Jack, Maria, and Ethan coordinated squads, ensuring readiness. There was no celebration. Preparation and survival were enough. The galaxy had pleaded for help. The Deathworlders of Earth had answered. Humans had come, and the Empire had learned a lesson it would not forget. Instinct, courage, and unbreakable will could not be stopped by numbers, technology, or strategy alone. The Velari were safe, their cities rebuilding, their soldiers trained, and their civilians protected. Humans had endured, adapted, and led. They had fought not for conquest, but for life. And across the stars, the message spread. When help is needed, the Deathworlders of Earth will come. They fight differently, survive differently, and endure where others fail. The galaxy would never forget. Humans had arrived, and their impact would shape history for generations. Alex looked at the rising sun over the ruined city, his eyes steady. Humans had survived, humans had protected, and humans would endure no matter what came next. The war was not fully over, but the galaxy knew a new truth. When the Deathworlders of Earth answer, hope survives, and nothing is impossible.